Ted's had a big day on the boat and he needs a bit of a run. Loves chasing the ball. Well, we walked up to the boat shed for breakfast this morning. Luca had a lovely breakfast. The wind's got up from the southeast and it's puffing a bit. It's quite cold and it's blowing in here a bit, so we've decided we're going to head up the river. I just rang the bridge keeper at Harwood. He said he's up there today, so he can open it at about 2 o'clock. So we'll get up there and give him a call when we get close and pop through under the bridge and then probably up to Maclean. So that's the plan for today. Good here at Luca. It's a great spot. You've got the pub very handy and the shops aren't too far away, so it's a great spot and it's nice anchoring here in the little boat harbour. But yeah, we'll mosey up the river and get out of the wind a bit, I think. Well, we don't wear skimpy bikinis. Hell, it frightens me when I take my shirt off. There's definitely no one pregnant here. This is motor sailing for old dudes. We do live on a boat and we do cruise extensively along the Australian coast. Join us and visit some great destinations. Learn how to look after a boat and live off grid. It might even get you enthused to do the same thing. Hey, stay out there till you can't. That's the trip for this morning. Be aware when navigating up the river, there's lots of training walls that go underwater at high tide. They're marked, so just be careful that you use all the lateral marks and don't get out of shape, because it'd be a pretty hard landing on one of those walls. Lovely old girls from another era, in need of a lot of work, I'd say. It's normal walk. I rang you this morning, we're at the bridge. We're looking at it now, but I know it's lunchtime, so you make a time and we'll be there, mate.
Oh, mate, yeah, it's only a couple of hours.
Okay, no worries. About 2 o'clock, you reckon?
Yeah, mate, yeah.
Okay, no worries. We'll be there waiting.
Okay, thanks, mate.
Thanks, mate. Bye.
So, what are you doing?
Well, we've got to wait for the bridge for 2 hours, and the dinghy's always had a bit of a leak in it. I bought a new pad eye to go through the side of it.
What's a cat eye?
That's a pad eye there.
A pad eye?
Yeah, so these come off. That's going to go through the side of the dinghy. I'll put some sealant in between it, and it's what the dinghy sits on when it's up on the davits, so that's what we use. But the old one is pulled inside out, so it was a bit of a substandard one. This is a lot more...
and it's leaking now.
It's a bit of an awkward place, but I don't know if you can see it down there, but that's where the pad eye comes through. And it's just leaking when we put the boat in the water. It's below the water line, so it's leaking water into the dinghy. So 2 hours waiting for the bridge. I'm going to fix it. There you go, the old one out, the new one in. You can see it's a lot heavier, and I've sealed it up with a bit of neoprene inside and out, so we shouldn't have that leak anymore. The old one was a bit light, and you can see it's pulled through the bottom of the plate here, so that won't happen with this one. A lot more solid. Should have done it in the first place. Anyhow, that job's done, so all we've got to do now is get the bridge open and we can head up to Maclean. Pretty nice in the sun here. I think I'm getting a bit sunburned. Unheard of. Anyway, let's do it. This is the great thing about Maclean. Floating pontoon, power and water, and even a pump out facility. So probably better facilities than most marinas. Well, we've got a spot on the dock at Maclean. Great here. It's really is a great little spot right at the end of town. You can walk up and do your shopping and have a coffee or whatever, and yeah, not too much call for berths here, I don't think, at this time of the year. So there's only a couple of boats on here, and I think they've been here more than 24 hours, so we'll probably stay here a little bit longer than that as well. But yeah, be aware of others. If someone else comes in and wants to use it and I'm here, I'll probably have to chuff off. But if there's no demand for it, I'll probably hang. Anyway, we'll see how it goes, eh? Very pleasant afternoon, actually, just having a little whiskey and a little rum, and life couldn't get better. This is our view. A bit of a sunset happening soon. Good spot for dogs, Teddy. Well, Wombi's jumping ship again. We're at Maclean, and Des and Jill, her sister and brother-in-law, have just driven up to pick her up. She's going back down to Southwest Rocks to do a family reunion thing, so she'll be gone for 4 or 5 days. So I'm going to wait here at Maclean. I think it's pretty good. I'm the only boat on the pontoons here, so they're not in high demand at the moment, so I'll hang here for 3 or 4 days. I've taken a hard drive up off my computer that stopped working, so there's a computer dude in town. He's going to have a look at it for me, and yeah, I'll get a few other things done as well, so it'll be good. But yeah, be on my own again for probably 4 or 5 days. Hi girls. Well, it's been a pretty windy day here at Maclean, tied up at the pontoon, so it's good. I gave the foredeck a bit of a polish this morning. I've done a couple of little jobs on the dinghy and the outboard, which should make life a bit easier. But just sitting here waiting for Wombi to return, I think probably after the weekend. I'm not sure. There's a couple of boats came up the river this morning, so berthing space here is getting a little bit tight. We'll just see if anyone leaves in the morning. If someone comes up looking for a berth and I'm here, I'll have to vacate it because I've been here for a day or so now. So 24 hours, give us someone else to go. But yeah, if I can, I'll stay here until Wombi comes back. Well, just taking a little walk around Maclean. It's a Scottish town, so you can see that all the lampposts have tartans painted on them. It's a nice touch. This one's the Maclean tartan. It's quite an old town, a lot of old buildings here around the early 1800s, so a bit of history around the place. And yeah, it's definitely got a nice little feel to it, Maclean. And the pontoons are right at the bottom of town, so you've got really good access to all that Maclean has to offer. I've got to give a huge shout out this morning to Scott. He doesn't want to be promoted at all, but he has made a huge donation to the Bays and Bars project. So this is really going to help, Scott. Thanks very much for that. I'm glad you can see the value in it. I think it's going to be really good and make it safer for people using bars, and that's the whole thrust of the project. But with a bit of help like you've given, Scott, it makes it so much easier and makes me feel good that people are supportive of actually what I'm doing. So thanks again, mate, fantastic. And we'll keep on filming them and hopefully make it safer for people using them. Couple of chops tonight. Fantastic. And a 4X. Well, Wombi's back tomorrow, and I'm just planning what we're going to do when we head out of the Clarence River here. It's quite a long trip down to Coffs Harbour. About 54 nautical miles, I think, so it's a pretty big day. Woolley River is 23 nautical miles away from here. I've never been in there, and I'm just wondering whether I can get in. I've had a look at the bar cam site for New South Wales. No bar cams on the Woolai River, so that's a bit of a problem. So what I'm thinking of doing, I might ring the VMR at Woolai and just ask them what their thoughts are on crossing the bar. Always good when you're planning a trip and crossing bars to plan ahead and, you know, get as much information as you can on doing those bar crossings. If we go down to Coffs, it's not a barred entrance, it's a harbour down there, so there's no river running out into Coffs Harbour. So pretty easy, you don't have to think about that too much, but we do have to think about getting out of the river here. There's a bar that we've got to cross to go out, and if we're going into Woolai, whether it's deep enough. Looks on the chart that there's not much anchoring room and it looks to be a bit shallow, so I might give the VMR a call and see what they reckon. Mate, I was just ringing, I'm heading down the coast and I was thinking about coming in across the Woolai Bar, and I just wondered what your thoughts are. We're in a 13 metre catamaran that draws around about 0.7 of a metre.
Yeah, well, the thing to note about this particular bar entrance, A, is very narrow, and B, it is very shallow. Its nominated lat is at 0.8 of a metre. It does vary in its depth. In the entrance, it's a little bit deeper, but a little bit further off, it's quite shallow. Multiple breaks are probably 2 to 3 up to a metre, metre and a half most times. It's not really recommended for sailing vessels in and out. Very rarely will we get a decent sized vessel into the river. It's got to be on really good conditions and a very high tide. And once they do get into the river, the fairway narrows quite appreciably, and then the river itself shallows up quite appreciably. So you really can't get anywhere once you've got round the end of the breakwalls. You virtually come to a dead stop.
Okay. All right. Well, look, thanks very much for that information. I'll probably head a bit further down. So thanks for the input anyway.
Yes, there's a project in place. The submission has already gone into RMS and by Marine Rescue itself, with the vision of having that particular bar having a camera put on it. It's the only one on the northern rivers that doesn't have a bar camera, and it's quite dangerous. As we've had in the last year or so, we've had about 4 overturned vessels on the bar. And because the base is only manned on the weekends, you've got those other days during the week where there's nothing to really give you an idea of what's going on, and if an incident does occur, it's a bit of a problem. So, yeah, it's a nasty bar. So it's just one to keep in mind.
Yeah, okay, no worries. Look, thanks very much for that. Thanks for the help. Yep, and yeah, bar cam would probably definitely make it a bit safer for maybe the smaller boaties that use it.
It certainly would.
Okay, thanks very much for your input. Thank you.
Pleasure. Bye.
Bye. So there you go. Looks like Woolai's out. They don't really give you much of a recommendation to cross there. So we might have to give that one a miss, I think. So it'll be down to Coffs, a longer trip, so we'll have to plan around that.